family. So today we're actually doing a little different video than normal. We get a lot of questions about things like what are the best things or the easiest things that we can do to help out a medical family. And so we actually reached out to other medical moms and dads in our area to ask them, what are the things that help you? What are the things that are the biggest helps that other people without medical kids just might not realize? Because I think that's the biggest thing, is that, you know, people aren't sure how to help you. Mm-hmm. They aren't sure how to help you. It's not that they're ignoring you or wanting to be ignorant. They just don't know because they're not in your shoes.
Yeah, they're in a different situation. So, you know, sometimes they're just doing the best they can or looking for a way to help out.
Yeah. Oftentimes when I just mention a way that someone can help me, they're like, oh, I never even thought of that, you know? Like, I think that, so we're just going to list some of the ways. I think we're going to talk about first my very most important thing, door holding.
Mm-hmm. Easily the most.
That is a struggle because, you know, simple things like when I'm pushing Felix's wheelchair, sometimes I'm carrying a kid or I have Naomi, you know, holding her hand. It's very hard to get Felix in his wheelchair and the other kids through the door when I'm holding the door. It's actually almost impossible. A lot of places do have automatic door buttons, but a lot of places don't, especially older buildings. Portland has a lot of older buildings, mm-hmm. and a lot of places don't. And like even last week or the week before, we went to the movies, and to get into the movie theater, there was an automatic door, and that was helpful. That was fine. And then to get into the theater, though, there's no automatic door, and so Steven and Landon had gone to get our snacks, and so I had my other three. I had my 2-year-old on my hip pushing Felix's wheelchair, Naomi standing beside me, and then I got to the theater door and realized I couldn't get in because there's no physical way I could. And these folks were walking behind me waiting to, you know, go in too, and I said, oh, go ahead and go in because I have to figure out how to get past the door since it's not a handicapped door. And they're like, oh, wow, like we'll help you. And they came and opened the door for me and held it, which I super duper appreciated. But yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have known unless I told them, right? So I think the door is the biggest thing. We had an issue at Pietro's where, these people, like, we were walking behind these people and they literally just let it hit Felix.
I mean, that goes for anybody. I mean, it doesn't need to be a medical family. Just hold the door for the person behind you or in front of you. Just be a decent human being. Be courteous. Hold the door.
Yeah, it's just honestly the simplest thing someone could do, and it is very helpful to me. Allie says, just knowing that it's okay to politely ask questions and be curious, but not to outright stare or make your family feel awkward. People often look at our family, and we have also, we don't all match. We don't all look the same in our family, so we get stared at anyway. But add on top of it, the accessories, all the medical accessories we bring, all the things we have to carry. You know, sometimes it can be like, hey, like we're out doing something with our kids. We like just want to do a normal thing without people staring at us. And it's totally okay to ask questions, but at the same time, know where the limit is, because sometimes you just kind of be with your family and we'll be with our family because we're just trying to have an outing.
I get that people want to look. I mean, you know, we've got Felix, and we've got Naomi on a ventilator, but
and Felix makes a lot of sounds and stuff.
And sometimes we'll look at him and go, you know, how's it going? Hey, how are you? But I would say if you're going to ask questions, just be courteous. Don't say what's wrong with your child or what's wrong with them. Just, you know, ask about them. But
usually little kids will ask, like, why does she have that about Naomi and her ventilator? And I'll say something simple like, oh, she just needs that to breathe. And then they're okay, just move on. A simple answer. But yeah, as people get older, it's harder to just accept a simple answer like that, which I understand. I actually don't mind talking about, you know, I'm a big advocate for CCHS and for Menkes syndrome, the two syndromes that our kids have. But at the same time, sometimes it gets exhausting to always be that. I sometimes just want them to be kids. Michelle says, respecting the striped white line and the loading zone for handicapped spaces. That is true, because right now, like for us right now, we do use handicapped spaces, but Felix, we unload his wheelchair and then we take him from a car seat and put him in the wheelchair. But eventually he will have a handicap lift in a van we don't have yet, but he will have a handicap lift. And so the loading zone is actually very important because they can't take the lift, they can't use the lift if there's not enough space between them and the next car. So that's pretty important that you leave enough space, because a lot of people aren't using a fold-up wheelchair because their kid's older or it's an adult. Felix just happens to be only 6, but as he gets older, we will need that equipment. So yeah, that's an important one. Katie says, talking to our kids age appropriately, not like babies, and engage with them. Yes.
they can hear just fine. They can understand things just fine.
Yeah, I mean, Felix and Naomi are different.
Today?
You know, like Felix, is more like an infant, but that's okay. But I think a big struggle, like Naomi's pretty able-bodied, and people coddle her. And it's a big problem, actually, because they coddle her so much that she doesn't, like, even though she can act age appropriately, sometimes she doesn't, which any 5-year-old who's being coddled and treated like a baby nonstop is going to just act. Their kids act whatever way that people were allowed.
She enjoys it and she'll go with it.
Yeah, and ultimately that's actually not helpful to her because we're, doing our best to advocate for her education and things like that, and for her to, reach her highest potential. And when people coddle her, it actually makes our job harder to teach her and to get her to the next level. It actually makes it a lot harder. Please expect that her behavior and the things that she's going to do is same expectations as the kid next to her. If the kid next to her is not allowed to scribble on their paper and then turn it in, either is Naomi. Because then that's what she learns is okay. And that's not trying her best. Julie says, as a mom, I don't mean to ghost my friends. I don't mean to forget to reply or offer grace and keep reaching out, keep texting even when we don't reply. Reach out, because sometimes you invite us to things, sometimes we can't go because we don't have enough caregivers, or something happened with one of the kids, and so sometimes we can't go, but we do appreciate being invited. During the peak of COVID, we're not going many places, so yeah, we probably aren't going to a birthday party with all our kids. Just someone, asking how we're doing or whatever, it means a lot.
It's tough, to take all the kids, especially with their equipment stuff, to go places, but doesn't mean we don't want to.
Jordan says, please show you support them. That's a really good point. We had a couple years ago, we were at a pumpkin patch, and this guy who's very ignorant said some really inappropriate things about how their lives aren't valuable, how they why do we let them live like this, things like that. It catches you off guard, actually. It kind of catches you off guard. And we were with our friend Tiffany was with us, and yeah, she was upset about too, and that made me feel like she had our back, that she was upset along with us, because she's like, that's not cool. Sarah says, do not touch our children in any way. That is true, and I'm very sorry, because it's actually not personal. People, especially family, take it personal. It's not. It's honestly because any little germ you have, it's not a big deal to you, but is a big deal in our household. And when first couple of years of Naomi's life, I mean, we were in the ICU all the time. She would catch, and no one else in our family would be sick, but she'd catch things we wouldn't even know where she caught it because no one else was sick. But yeah, illness is a big problem.
Teach boundaries as well. So, that's also important. It's some people are okay with it, some people are not. And it's tough to teach boundaries if you're, touching kids that you don't know.
Okay, so for Paige, she talked about how with a long hospital stay, the simple things you could do, meal trains are helpful. Meal trains, or just offer to go to the store. It just depends on what the family, specifically needs. But if the person says that they don't need anything, it's probably because they just don't want to burden you. So do something anyway. That's honest truth.
It's not always easy to leave the hospital to go get food as well.
No,
so food you can bring
and it's not even that the hospital won't allow you to leave. It's honestly because you don't want to leave your kid there. I mean, I stayed day and night when one of our kids is in the hospital, because I picture myself being a little kid and being scared in the hospital without my mom. Kelsey also says, offering to keep medical supplies at their place if it's somewhere you visit. Also, that's a good point. We don't really have that, but we do have up at our cabin, we have a whole set of some medical stuff so that we're not bringing that much back and forth. So if you have a close friend or family member, or a grandparent who you like to visit frequently, and your kid needs an adaptive chair or whatever, that's helpful to have one there. That way you're only carrying the kid in. That's very true. I hadn't thought about that. Arden talks about self-care. My idea of self-care is being able to chill on the couch for a few minutes and watch some funny YouTube videos. That's my idea of self-care. No, I don't want to. I'm not the type to go get a manicure or anything like that. But For some people though, it's like, oh, I'd love to like go relax in the bath for an hour or whatever. My idea of self-care for myself might be different than the next person, but
if you can take the time to figure out what someone likes and what brings them enjoyment in life, and you can kind of help make that happen,
yeah,
I'm all for it.
I know that like a month ago, my friend Lisa, she could tell I was having a really hard time and I was upset. And she actually offered to come over and help me clean, which I appreciated. And she even brought me a coffee.
Yeah.
And like
spring coffee.
Yeah, and it took a couple hours out of her day to do that. And I definitely don't expect it consistently, but it like made me feel so good. Like, wow, someone actually cares, you know? So I really appreciate that. So Les talks about supporting certain things that are helpful, certain bills and certain things that are helpful to medical families, because there's a huge financial burden, especially if the child is not a foster child, especially if the child's your adoptive child or your biological child. There is very little funding resources for things that they need. Not nearly, like you would just think, oh, your child's disabled and need a wheelchair, then your insurance will cover the wheelchair. Not how it works. So yes, support bills and funding. So Bellin talks about helping them make the calls each month to confirm their monthly orders of medical supplies. So in our situation, because every parent is different how they organize this. For me, I personally wouldn't like that, because I feel like only I know. Because I wouldn't even let Steven do that.
No, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, he wouldn't know exactly what we need. Like, he obviously knows how to take care of the kids, but like we each have our roles, you know, and so he wouldn't know what to order. No offense.
No, when she says to go get something, I'm usually rummaging through drawers until I can find it. I don't know necessarily exactly where it's at. It might be 5-10 minutes until I find it.
Yeah. I still give pretty like detailed instructions, but in a case though, like Bellin, you know, or if you're a single mom and taking care of medical kids and you do need that help, you know.
I mean, I've heard of nurses or caregivers sometimes placing the order, and I could see that if they knew the system well enough.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I used to place the order for one of the kids I used to take care of. Yeah, it just depends on the situation. So sometimes that might be appropriate, sometimes not, depending on the family. Janelle makes a really good point that I actually hadn't even thought about yet. I would love it if our school would direct the pickup line away from the handicapped parking spaces. We get to wheel between cars, so it's a safety issue, you know. It sounds, I don't know which school this is, but it sounds like, you know, she has to basically park like wherever the handicap ramp is, because her child's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Or the handicap ramp is literally right where people are in line for the pickup line.
Yeah, because sometimes if the line's behind the handicap spot, you may have to wait through the whole line just to get to the handicap spot, and that's not convenient.
So it is tough too, because like, you know, I feel like there's just like, you know, right now school for everyone is just a really tough situation. You know, resources are very slim, but it is frustrating and nerve-wracking, you know, for medical parents or special needs parents to be sending their kid to school right now, knowing that the resources are so slim, because knowing that their kid's not getting benefited in almost any way to even go to school. It's sad, honestly. So yeah, it's definitely a tough one. And I mean, I know that this is Dami's first year of school, and I was like, I mean, she can walk up and down stairs with her nurse's help, but there was a different kid there. It wasn't my child, but a different kid in a wheelchair, and their little elevator lift thing is broken. And I was like, so what happens if there's a fire? What's gonna happen with that kid? And they're like, oh, we should probably build the ramp. Probably. You probably should build the ramp. Yeah, it's like ridiculous that it's almost like they're waiting for something bad to happen before they come up with a plan. But yeah, Tanya agrees that the holding the doors is our biggest thing. So you guys, so many people have said hold the doors for people in wheelchairs. So just know that is the biggest thing. And honestly, if I go somewhere with all the kids and like I don't have to deal with the doors and stressing out and looking awkward in front of people, having to fumble with the door, it honestly makes or breaks the trip sometimes for me. So hold the door for people. It's funny though, because we do it for elderly people all the time. If you don't have a permit, don't use the handicap spot. So
That's the law.
that's the law. Yeah, but some people still do it. If they just think, oh, it's just real quick, I'll just run to the store real quick. But then they don't realize that then someone else comes who that's their only choice is the handicap spot. And then Nicole says patience when we're wheeling our big A strollers and all equipment around. Oh my gosh, yes. So cumbersome. Like it's physically a job to go on outing. It's not like, you know, when we just had Landon, it was just like, we literally didn't even have to pack anything. Like we literally put on our jackets and just like get in the car. And now it's different because not only like, just for instance, I literally try to avoid public bathrooms, and it's not even because like, it's honestly because it's so difficult for us to use a public bathroom, figure out logistically where kids are going to be, who's going to be watching what kids while other kids go to the bathroom, things like that. It's hard. It's physically hard. We're carrying tons of equipment. I mean, to go on an outing, like just a day outing, how long does it take us to pack? Like 30 minutes?
Yeah, usually.
Like 30 minutes.
I mean, it could be more than that by the time. I mean, there's the packing, but then there's also...
You're also getting kids dressed, changing diapers.
In the car, ready to go,
that's
buckled
true.
in. You know, at that point, you're getting closer to an hour.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, it takes so much energy to even pre-prepare for an outing. So by the time we get going, usually, I mean, when we were going to your grandparents' house last week, I was like, this is why I hate outings.
Once you get going, it's worth it. But yeah, it's stressful getting up and going.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of people staring at you while you have all this equipment and you're dropping stuff, and then like you're a suctioning kid in the middle of a line, and like a lot of staring. And I'm just like, I just want my kid to be a kid. I want to, you know. So it is
just be
tough.
patient.
Yeah, be patient and teach your kids to be patient and not to like shove in front of us in the line. If I'm holding a kid to go, you know, down a slide or something, and I'm physically holding them and it's difficult, and you see your kid weaseling front and pushing in front of me, you got to correct them. That's just is how it is. Can you think of anything else? Those were the main things that the parents on the groups that I'm in wanted us to talk about in this video. Is there anything else you can think of?
I think for me, you know, the toughest one is you know, if you're not feeling well, please say so. Please don't come over, no matter how small it is, or at least call us, let us know, and let us make the decision. But you know, even if it's super small and you know, just a runny nose, even if you don't have a cough or fever,
you can't.
Please let us know. You know,
it might be little for you, but it's big for our kids, and it's hard on us when our kids are sick. I mean, it's really not, and it's scary. It's honestly scary. It's life or death every time, and so. Yeah,
I know it's disappointing. You know, we probably want to see you. You probably want to see us, but we don't want to have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, we don't. We don't want to go to the hospital. So, yeah. Anything else you can think of?
No. I think we covered quite a bit there.
Yes. So, moral of the story, you hold the door for people. That's the biggest thing. I felt like there was something else I wanted to say too, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, just be patient with people. And one kind of interesting thing I feel like for the most part, unless I'm talking to another medical parent, I feel like I really can't vent about anything. Like, 'cause parents need to vent sometimes, you know, they really do. Because parenting any kid is hard. And sometimes I kind of feel like I'm not really allowed to, because it's like, oh, well, you should just be thankful that your kids are even alive. And I'm like, well, I am thankful they're alive, duh. But they also do kid stuff that, you know.
We have the same frustrations
yeah,
as any parent, even though the kids are a little bit different. There's still same daily frustration.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely feel like I'm not allowed to vent, because, well, you should just be happy. I'm like, oh, I'm happy they're alive. Doesn't mean that they, you know, are perfectly well behaved every moment of the day and things like that. So yeah, that's another thing. But yeah, I think that's it for today, guys. And if you have any other suggestions that you can think of, that would be helpful, or any questions about it, just leave in the comments and we'll try to address that in another video. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Everyone.